Ambassador Lee stood in the darkened room as the message arrived. The air felt cold. 7 alien figures appeared in blue light before him. They looked strange, some with too many eyes, others with skin like stone or metal. All wore the same silver symbols that marked them as council members. "Human Ambassador Lee," they said together, their voices blending into one. "This is our third and final warning to Earth. You have broken our rules too many times. You have 30 days to obey all our laws or face the consequences." Lee's hands shook slightly. He had feared this day would come. 50 years ago, humans had joined the Galactic Council with great hope. Now, that relationship was falling apart. Behind him, his aide Han quickly wrote down every word. Han was young, only 30, with serious eyes and a calm face that hid his worry well. "The Council has found Earth guilty of 3 major violations," continued the aliens. "First, your development of thinking machines goes beyond allowed limits. Second, your military ships and weapons exceed your permitted numbers. Third, you have settled on 12 star systems that are protected under Council law." The tallest alien, with skin like blue crystal, leaned forward. "You will disable all illegal machines. You will destroy your excess military equipment. You will remove all humans from the protected systems. 30 days. No more." The message ended. The blue light vanished, leaving the room in darkness. "What do they expect us to do?" Lee asked, his voice tight with anger. "Dismantle half our colonies. Destroy decades of research. Millions of people live in those protected systems now." Han looked up from his notes. "Sir, these demands would set humanity back at least 40 years. We'd lose everything we've worked for." Lee nodded. "Contact Earth immediately. The President needs to see this." 12 hours later, in a large round room under the old United Nations building in New York, 50 people argued loudly. They represented all Earth nations and colonies. Windows showed the night sky above and the city lights below. The Council's message played again on the main screen. President Park stood up. She was tall and thin, with gray hair pulled back tightly. "We must find a diplomatic solution," she said, her voice cutting through the noise. "The Council controls over 500 star systems. Their technology is still ahead of ours. We cannot win a direct fight. So we just surrender." General Kim slammed his fist on the table. He was a large man with a serious face and shoulders that carried the weight of Earth's military. "We give up everything we've built. The Council has pushed us around for 50 years. They share only the technology they choose. They tell us where we can go, what we can build. This is the perfect excuse for them to push us back into our solar system and keep us there." "I understand your frustration," President Park said. "But we must be realistic. Maybe we can negotiate. Give up some things to keep others." A representative from Mars Colony stood up. "My people won't leave their homes. 3 generations have lived on Mars. We can't just pack up and go because some aliens decided our planet is suddenly protected." More voices joined in. Some wanted to fight. Others wanted to find a middle path. A few even suggested complete surrender. In a small room next to the main meeting, Communications Officer Sue monitored incoming messages. She was 40, with quick hands and sharp eyes that missed nothing. A light flashed on her screen, a message using old emergency codes that hadn't been used in years. Sue frowned. The message came through channels only Council members could access. She decoded it quickly, then read it twice to be sure. The message was simple. "They've already decided your fate." Sue's heart beat faster. She rushed to the meeting room, waiting by the door until she caught President Park's eye. The President excused herself and came over. "What is it, Officer Sue?" "Madam President, we've received a message from inside the Council." Sue showed her the words on the small screen. "Someone is warning us. I think this means the Council isn't really giving us a choice. The 30 days might be fake." President Park's face grew pale. "Can we trace it? Find out who sent it?" "No, ma'am, but only high-ranking council members could use these channels. The president looked back at the arguing representatives. If the council has already decided to move against us, diplomacy won't work. What will you do? Sue asked. Before the president could answer, General Kim joined them. What's happening? President Park showed him the message. The general's eyes narrowed. I've been saying all along they can't be trusted, he said. We have that secret defense project. Maybe it's time to use it. That's a last resort, President Park warned. We still don't know if it will work. It might be our only choice, the general replied. If they've already decided to attack us, our 30 days might be better spent preparing than begging. President Park looked between her communications officer and her general. The weight of 7 billion human lives pressed down on her shoulders. Tell Ambassador Lee to keep talking with the council, she finally said. Make them think we're considering their demands. Meanwhile, she turned to General Kim. Activate our emergency protocols, quietly, and get me details on that defense project. If they want to fight, we'll be ready. Outside, stars shone in the night sky. Among them, unknown to most humans on Earth, council ships were already moving into position. Yoon moved like a shadow through the empty halls of Station Nexus. The huge space station hung in the darkness between stars, far from any planet. Here, the Galactic Council kept their most important records. Yoon had one job: find out what the Council really planned for Earth. The station's curved walls glowed with soft blue light. Most of the Council workers had gone to their sleeping quarters hours ago. Only a few security guards remained, walking their usual paths through the station. Yoon checked her watch. 3 minutes until the next guard would pass. She wore a maintenance worker's uniform stolen 3 days ago when she first arrived. In her pocket, she carried a small device that looked like a regular repair tool but contained powerful hacking software. She slipped into a small room filled with cleaning supplies and waited. The guard passed by, not even glancing at the closed door. Yoon counted to 30, then moved again. The archive section had stronger security than the rest of the station. The thick door blocked the way, with a scanner that checked both eye patterns and handprints. Yoon couldn't trick this system. Instead, she removed a panel from the wall beside the door and connected her tool to the wires inside. Come on, she whispered as the tool worked. After 60 seconds, the security system reset itself. She had exactly 4 minutes before it would come back online and sound alarms. Inside the archives, rows of data storage units filled a room larger than Yoon had expected. The air felt cold against her skin. Blue lights blinked among the tall black columns of computers. She moved quickly to the main terminal in the center of the room. For 3 days, Yoon had prepared for this moment. She had studied the Council's computer systems and created special programs to break through their security. She plugged her device into the terminal and started her attack. The first layer of security fell quickly, then the second. By the third layer, sweat formed on Yoon's forehead. Time was running out. Finally, the screen changed color from blue to green. She was in. Yoon's fingers flew across the keyboard. She searched for files about Earth, humans, and the recent warnings. Thousands of results appeared. Too many to read here. She connected her quantum-secured drive and started downloading everything. While the files transferred, she opened a few to get an idea of what she'd found. The first document made her freeze. Operation Human Containment. Final Phase Planning. The file contained detailed plans for ships, weapons, and troop movements, all aimed at Earth and its colonies. The dates showed the operation would begin in 20 days, not 30 as the warning had claimed. Yoon opened another file, her heart beating faster. This one showed maps of Earth with specific targets marked: major cities, military bases, and research centers. The Council planned to destroy them all within the first 6 hours of attack. A third document made her gasp. Population reduction parameters described how the Council would kill most humans, leaving only 500 million alive. These survivors would be sent to mining worlds and agricultural planets as workers. The council called it appropriate containment of the human threat. "This can't be right," she whispered, feeling sick as she read more details. The download completed with a soft peep. Yoon was about to disconnect when she noticed one more file. Species Threat Assessment. Human. She opened it quickly. The document explained why the council feared humans so much. It showed how Earth had developed technology faster than any other known planet. Humans had moved from simple flight to space travel in less than 70 years. Other species had taken centuries for the same progress. The report included detailed studies of human biology and psychology. It called humans dangerously adaptable and unnaturally innovative. The council scientists predicted that within 100 years, humans would become more advanced than even the oldest council members, races that had been in space for thousands of years. The final line chilled Yoon's blood. The only appropriate response to the human threat is controlled extinction before they realize their full potential. A sound in the hallway made Yoon jump. She disconnected her drive, closed the terminal, and moved to the door. A guard was approaching earlier than expected. She pressed herself into a dark corner and held her breath as he passed by, looking into the room but not seeing her in the shadows. When he was gone, Yoon slipped out and made her way back through the station. Her heart pounded with each step. The information she carried could save her species if she could get it back to Earth. 2 hours later, safely aboard her small ship and moving away from the station, Yoon established a secure connection to Earth. The quantum communication system was untraceable by Council technology. "Director Jin, this is Operative Yoon reporting," she said when his face appeared on her screen. The man looked tired, with lines around his eyes and gray in his short hair. "Did you find anything useful?" he asked. "I've confirmed it," Yoon said, her voice tight. "The Council plans to attack in 20 days, not 30. They never intended to let us comply with their demands." She sent a sample of the files through the connection. "They're planning to kill most of us and enslave the rest." Jin's face grew pale as he scanned the documents. "Why? What could possibly justify this?" "They're afraid of us," Yoon explained. "The files show they've been watching our development closely. They believe we're advancing too quickly. Their studies predict humans will surpass their technology within a century. They can't accept that." Jin was silent for a long moment. "Return to Earth immediately, Yoon. Use the hidden jump points. We need this evidence before the full leadership." 3 days later, Yoon stood in the same underground chamber where Earth's leaders had met after receiving the Council's warning. President Park, General Kim, and representatives from all human colonies watched as the files from Station Nexus displayed on the large screens around them. The room remained silent as document after document revealed the Council's true plans. Some leaders looked shocked. Others seemed angry. A few even cried as they saw the detailed extinction plans for their people. When the presentation ended, President Park stood. Her face showed no fear, only cold determination. "We now know the truth," she said. "The Council fears what we might become, so they plan to destroy us. They never intended to negotiate. They never planned to let us live as equals." She looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. "We cannot run. We cannot hide. And we will not surrender." General Kim stepped forward. "Madam President, it's time to activate Project Chimera." President Park nodded slowly. "Prepare our people. We will not go quietly into extinction." Around the table, Earth's leaders straightened their backs. The fight for human survival had begun. 200 meters below the moon's gray surface, Admiral Ta walked through the secret base, known only as Deep Point. Cold white lights lined the metal walls. The air smelled clean but artificial. Soldiers saluted as he passed, their faces serious. Admiral Ta was 65 years old with a strong build and short white hair. His face showed the strain of too little sleep. For 30 years, he had helped build Earth's hidden defenses. Now he would finally use them. He entered the command center, a large round room filled with screens and workstations. 20 officers monitored systems and checked data. In the center stood a three-dimensional map showing hundreds of star systems. Small blue dots marked human colonies, red triangles showed Council military bases, and yellow stars, more than 50 of them scattered across Council space, represented something the aliens didn't know existed. "Status report," Admiral Tad ordered. Colonel Min stepped forward with a tablet. "All sleeper units confirm ready status, sir. The last activation codes were transmitted 6 hours ago using Dr. Yun's quantum network. No sign that the Council detected our signals." Admiral Ta nodded. For decades, Earth had secretly hidden military units throughout Council space. Some were small, just weapon caches or communication relays. Others were complete battle stations, hidden in asteroid fields or inside gas giants where Council sensors couldn't detect them. All had been waiting for this moment. "And our people?" Tai asked. "All human sleeper agents have confirmed receipt of their orders," Colonel Min replied. "They're in position and awaiting the signal." Admiral Ta studied the map again. Then he made his decision. "Begin the countdown," he ordered. 72 hours until synchronized activation. The command center burst into activity. Officers transmitted the final orders. The central display changed to show a large timer. 72 o'clock, 00. "May our ancestors watch over us," Admiral Ta said quietly. In orbit around Earth, the research station, New Dawn, floated like a silver wheel against the blackness of space. Inside the station's main laboratory, Dr. Yun worked with intense focus. Dr. Yun was 48, with tired eyes and hands that moved with careful precision. For 15 years, she had led the team developing Earth's most secret technology. "Run the test again," she told her assistant. "I want to be absolutely certain." They sent a message through their new system, not using radio waves or light like normal communications, but through quantum connections that existed outside normal space. The message traveled instantly to receivers throughout human space, from Mercury to the farthest colony. "All stations report perfect reception, Doctor," her assistant said. "The Council's monitoring systems show no detection." Dr. Yun allowed herself a small smile. The quantum communication network was ready. Unlike Council systems, which always had a delay as messages traveled through space, the quantum network was instant. Messages appeared at all points simultaneously, with no travel time. But the network was only one part of Project Chemra. Dr. Yun moved to another section of the laboratory, where 6 large pods stood in a circle. Each pod was connected to computers and monitoring equipment. Inside each pod lay a human, appearing to sleep. Small lights blinked on their temples where neural interfaces connected their brains directly to the computers. "How are they doing?" Dr. Yun asked the medical team. "All 6 pilots show excellent integration," the lead doctor reported. "Neural pathways are stable. The AIs have adapted to their thought patterns." Dr. Yun checked each pod personally. The sleeping humans inside were volunteers, the bravest people she had ever known. Their minds were now permanently linked with advanced artificial intelligence systems. The Council had strict rules about AI. Simple machines were allowed, but nothing that could think for itself, and connecting AI directly to human minds was forbidden completely. The Council called it soul pollution and punished it with death. But humans had done it anyway. Project Chimera created something new, not just a human using a computer, but a true merging of human and machine intelligence. Human intuition, emotion, and creativity combined with AI processing speed, memory, and calculation ability. When awakened, each Chimera pilot could control dozens of ships at once. They could process battlefield data faster than any normal mind. And most importantly, they thought in ways the Council's battle computers couldn't predict. Dr. Yun checked the final readings, then sent a message to Admiral Ta. "The prototypes are ready. The Council's predictive models can't anticipate their decision patterns. On Mars, workers moved emergency supplies into underground shelters. On the water-covered moon of Europa, research submarines prepared to hide beneath the thick ice. On distant Proxima Centauri, colonists reinforced their habitats against possible attack. All across human space, people prepared. Some were afraid. Others were angry. All were determined. In a small farming settlement on Ta City E, the oldest human colony outside the solar system, Farmer Kang helped load food into storage bunkers. "Do you think we can win?" asked his neighbor. "The council has so many more ships than we do." Kang looked up at the sky, where stars shone through the colony's protective dome. "My grandfather was on the first ship that landed here. The council told us we would fail, that humans couldn't adapt to this world. But we did. We always do." He pointed to the wheat fields they had created from Ta City's alien soil. "Humans don't give up. And now we have Project Chimera." Word of the secret project had spread among the colonies. Few knew exactly what it was, but all had heard rumors. A new weapon, a new defense, something that would change everything. Back on the moon, Admiral Ta received reports from all human settlements. Each colony confirmed they were ready. Earth's underground cities were prepared. The fleet was in position, but hidden. The Admiral looked at the countdown. 24:17:32. Colonel Min approached with new information. "Sir, our spies report the Council fleet is gathering. They plan to attack in 4 days." "Too late," Admiral Ta said. "We'll be ready in 24 hours. He activated the communication system to address all military commanders throughout human space. His voice would reach them all simultaneously through Dr. Yun's quantum network. This is Admiral Ta. For 50 years, we have lived under Council rules. We accepted their limits, followed their laws, and still they plan to destroy us. They fear what we might become." He paused, looking at the map of stars where humans had spread. "They are right to fear us. Humanity will not be contained. We will not be controlled. And we will not wait to be slaughtered." Across human space, people listened as the Admiral continued. "Project Chimera activates in 24 hours. All units prepare for synchronized offensive operations. We strike first. We strike hard. And we show the Council that humanity will never surrender." The countdown continued. Earth prepared for war. In the Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council, Representative Doom stood tall and proud. His skin was pale green with patches of blue scales. 6 eyes blinked at different times on his white face. He was old, even by his species standards, and had been part of the Council for over 200 years. Doom addressed the full Council gathering, his voice booming through the massive hall. 500 representatives from 27 alien civilizations watched from their seats in rising circles. The huge room looked like a theater, with Doom on the central stage. "The humans have had enough time," Doom said. "Their 30 days are nearly over, and they have made no meaningful changes. We must now move to containment procedures as planned." Behind him, large screens showed images of Earth and its colonies. Maps highlighted targets for the coming attack. Numbers scrolled, showing how many humans would die in each phase of the operation. "Our fleet is in position," Doom continued. "The first strikes will." He stopped suddenly. The screens behind him flickered, then went dark. The lights in the chamber dimmed for a moment. "What is happening?" Doom demanded. A junior aide rushed to him, whispering urgently in his ear. Doom's multiple eyes widened. "Impossible," he hissed. At that exact moment, across 300 star systems, humanity struck. On the edge of Council space, a small asteroid suddenly broke apart, revealing the hidden human battle station. Similar scenes played out in nebulas, gas clouds, and dead moons throughout Council territory. Weapons that had been hidden for decades activated all at once. Inside the main Council communications relay on Proxima Station, a human technician named Gil had worked for 15 years, pretending to be a simple maintenance worker. Now he entered a special code into his terminal and walked calmly to the exit as the station's power system began to overload. Similar actions took place at hundreds of locations. The Council's vast communication network, which connected their far-flung empire, had been infiltrated years ago. Now it collapsed as key nodes were destroyed in precisely coordinated strikes. In orbit around Earth, Ambassador Lee sat in a small broadcast studio aboard his diplomatic ship. Before him stood an array of cameras and transmission equipment. His face looked tired but determined. "People of the galaxy," he began, his message broadcasting on all frequencies the Council used. "For 50 years, humanity has tried to be a good member of the galactic community. We followed the Council's rules. We respected their authority, but now we have discovered the truth." He pressed a button, and the broadcast showed the secret Council documents about the planned human extinction. Images of Council leaders discussing how to most efficiently kill billions of humans. Maps of Earth with targets clearly marked. "This is not justice," Lee continued. "This is genocide. And we have discovered it is not the first time the Council has done this. Other species that grew too quickly or showed too much promise have been contained throughout history." The broadcast showed more documents, revealing centuries of similar operations against other races. Species that had once showed great promise, now reduced to small populations on resource worlds, their histories erased. "We share this truth with all beings who value life and freedom," Lee said. "Humanity will defend itself, but we also stand ready to build a better, more equal galaxy when this conflict ends." Deep beneath the lunar surface, Admiral Ta watched as battle reports flooded in. The main display showed hundreds of small conflicts erupting across Council space. The surprise was working. The Council's forces scrambled to respond, but with their communication network damaged, they couldn't coordinate. "Chimera units, begin Phase 2, Tide ordered." In orbit around Earth, the 6 special pods containing the human-AI hybrids activated. The sleeping pilots opened their eyes, which now glowed with blue light. Their minds, merged with advanced artificial intelligence, could process vast amounts of battlefield data instantly. Each Chimera pilot controlled dozens of ships at once. They moved their fleets like extensions of their own bodies, reacting faster than any normal human or AI could alone. The Council's defensive systems relied on prediction algorithms developed over centuries. These systems could anticipate normal tactics and counter them. But the Chimera units didn't think like normal military commanders. Their hybrid minds created strategies no pure human or pure machine would devise. In the Sirius system, Chimera pilot Ju controlled 27 ships against a Council defense fleet 3 times larger. The Council commander ordered a standard pincer movement to trap the human ships. Ju smiled inside her pod. She split her fleet into unusual groupings, some ships moving in tight formations, others seemingly random. When the Council ships adjusted to this strange pattern, she changed again. Her ships moved in ways that looked chaotic, but followed a deeper logic only her hybrid mind understood. "They're trying to predict what a human would do," she said to herself. "But I'm not just human anymore." Within 30 minutes, the Council fleet retreated in confusion, having lost a third of their ships without destroying a single human vessel. Similar scenes played out across dozens of battlefields. The Council's military, used to fighting predictable enemies, found themselves confused and disorganized. In the Grand Chamber, chaos erupted as reports of attacks poured in. Representative Dune shouted for order as delegates argued about what to do. Then the screens activated again, showing Ambassador Lee's broadcast about the planned genocide. The evidence was clear and undeniable. Representatives from the Aldebaran system stood up first. Their leader, a tall being with crystalline skin, addressed the chamber. "We joined this council to promote peace and cooperation," she said, "not to participate in genocide. Aldebaran withdraws from this conflict and declares neutrality." Representatives from Rigel followed, then 3 more systems. They had not known about the planned extinction. The Council's inner circle had kept many members in the dark. High Counselor Mach, leader of the Council's oldest species, pushed through the crowd to reach the central platform. He was ancient, with gray skin hanging in loose folds and eyes that burned with anger. "Silence," he roared, his voice cutting through the noise. "This human rebellion changes nothing. They attacked us. This proves they are too dangerous to allow in our galaxy." He pointed at the deserting representatives. "Let the cowards run. The rest of us will finish this." He turned to Dune. "Prepare the Armada. We still outnumber them. We still have superior technology. We will go to Earth and end this rebellion at its source." Many representatives cheered in agreement. Despite the losses, despite the evidence of their planned genocide being exposed, they would not back down. As the council chamber erupted in war preparations across the galaxy, the human chimera units watched through hidden sensors. They analyzed the council's movements, predicted their strategies, and prepared for the next phase of humanity's fight for survival. The first strike had succeeded, but the real battle was just beginning. 7 days after humanity's first strike, the council's massive armada gathered at the edge of human space. 3,000 warships formed a wall of metal and energy stretching across the darkness. Fleet Commander Lim stood on the bridge of the flagship, a vessel larger than any human city. Lim was tall and thin with gray skin and 4 arms. He had fought in 12 wars for the Council and never lost. He looked at the display showing their target, the Sol system, home of Earth. "Final report," he ordered. His second-in-command stepped forward. "All ships ready, Commander. Our scouts report the humans have gathered their fleet around their home planet. They appear to be waiting for us." Lim smiled, showing sharp teeth. "They think they can fight us directly. Their entire space force is smaller than just our first attack wave." "The humans have shown unusual tactics, sir," his officer warned. "These chimera units have caused significant damage to our forces." "Those were small battles," Lim said. "This is the full might of the Council. We will crush them quickly, then begin the containment process as planned." He gave the order, and the massive fleet jumped into hyperspace, heading directly for Earth. Minutes later, the Council Armada emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. Lim expected to find Earth's small defensive fleet waiting. Instead, what he saw made no sense. The solar system had changed. Massive ring-shaped structures orbited every planet, from Mercury to Neptune. Between the planets, the empty space itself seemed different, shimmering slightly as if the vacuum was somehow alive. "What is this?" Lim demanded. "Where is the human fleet?" His sensor officers worked frantically at their stations. "Sir, our scanners cannot penetrate these energy fields. We detect movement but cannot identify ship types or weapons." Lim slammed a fist on his command chair. "Impossible. Move the fleet forward. Prepare all weapons." The Council ships advanced slowly. As they passed the orbit of Neptune, strange readings began appearing on their sensors. Ships in the front line reported their navigation systems failing. Communications became distorted. "Sir," called the communications officer, "we're receiving a broadcast from Earth. It's on all frequencies." A human face appeared on the main screen. Admiral Ta looked directly at Lim, his expression calm and confident. "Council forces," Ta said. "You enter our system expecting to find us helpless. You thought your science and technology were superior. You were wrong." The Admiral's image zoomed out to show a large control room. Behind him stood the 6 chimera pilots, their eyes glowing with blue light. "Your science has limitations you never acknowledged," Ta continued. "While you watched us for weapons and ships, we studied the fabric of reality itself." Lim laughed. "Empty threats. Begin the attack pattern." The front line of Council ships fired their weapons. Beams of energy shot toward the strange structures orbiting Uranus. But before they hit, the beams curved away, as if space itself had bent. "Impossible," Lim whispered. On the screen, Admiral Ta nodded to one of the chimera pilots. The pilot raised her hand, and suddenly, 50 Council ships simply vanished from formation. Lim's officers shouted in panic. A moment later, the missing ships reappeared, but not in their original positions. They materialized inside the formation. Some partly merged with other vessels. Alarms blared as ships collided or exploded. "What did you do?" Lim demanded. "A simple demonstration," Tay replied. "We've learned to manipulate space-time in ways your scientists thought were only theoretical. Your ships just traveled through a localized fold in reality." Another Chimera pilot moved his hands, and a wave spread through the Council fleet. On 100 ships, weapon systems suddenly transformed, metal components changing into worthless sand. "How is this possible?" Lim asked, real fear in his voice for the first time. "Humanity is not what you thought we were," Ta said. "Our minds work differently. We see connections your people miss. When we combined our minds with our AI systems, we discovered principles of physics your science never explored." The display changed, showing President Park standing in a simple room with Earth visible through a window behind her. "These are our terms," she said. "The Galactic Council will be dissolved immediately. All fleets will stand down. A new cooperative will form, with all species as equals, not rulers and subjects." Lim shook with anger. "You cannot dictate terms to us. We still have thousands of ships. We can still destroy your worlds." "Can you?" President Park asked calmly. At her signal, one of the Chimera pilots made a simple gesture. The flagship's engines shut down. Then life support began to fail. All across the Council fleet, critical systems stopped working. "This is not a negotiation," President Park continued. "You came here to destroy us. We could do the same to you, but that is not our way. We offer life instead of death, cooperation instead of extinction. But make no mistake, we will not allow the old council to continue." Lim looked around his darkening bridge. His officers waited for his command. He had never surrendered before, but he had also never faced an enemy who could rewrite the laws of physics. "I accept your terms," he finally said. 1 month later, Ambassador Lee stood in the new Chamber of Cooperation on neutral space station Harmony. Representatives from all 27 former Council species sat in a circle, with no raised platforms or special seats. All were equal here. Lee watched as the last representatives signed the new charter. The document established basic rights for all sentient beings, guaranteed independence for all member worlds, and created a true cooperative rather than a ruling council. High Counselor Mock, now just Representative Mock, approached Lee after signing. "I still don't understand how you did it," Mock said. "How did humans advance so quickly?" Lee smiled. "The very thing that frightened you about us is what saved us. Humans adapt. We change. We see possibilities where others see only threats." Mock nodded slowly. "Perhaps that is why the old ways could not continue. We became too fixed, too certain of our superiority." "The galaxy is big enough for all of us," Lee said, "not as rulers and subjects, but as equals with different gifts to share." As Mock walked away, Lee looked around the chamber. Humans and aliens talked together, no longer divided by fear. Scientists from different worlds were already planning exchanges, eager to learn from each other. Earth had entered the galactic community as newcomers just 50 years ago. They had faced extinction at the hands of those who feared their potential. Now they had helped create something new, not through conquest or cruelty, but through the very innovation and adaptability that had frightened the Council. Lee thought of all the species who would now develop freely, without artificial limits. He thought of discoveries waiting to be made by minds working together instead of against each other. A more equitable galaxy awaited them all. The end.